Well, I think that what we have is a tradition that has been very powerful, but is so strong that and so diverting, frankly, of especially the time and attention of the faculty into important things, but things, for instance, their scholarship, their work within the discipline, that doesn't give them the opportunity, doesn't afford them the opportunity to take a measured look, the way they do their scholarship, at new technologies and what might be made of them, not in terms of displacing the traditional method of instruction, but enhancing it. It's one of the reasons I'm so glad to see edX on the scene, and it's important to note that edX is not a company, it's a research project. And they've been very clear about that the folks at Harvard and MIT are going to afford a lot of people the opportunity to take courses. But their main purpose, if not the main purpose for what they're doing, is finding out how online learning works and can be made to work best. And so it's wonderful that Harvard has taken the lead, even though what they're doing, to my understanding, is not changing their own curriculum, but it's exploring what changes might be possible. And so I think that's the thing we need to change most, is to help the faculty who ultimately need to be leading these changes see what's possible in terms that they accept, which is, hey, there's data behind this. The notion of the individual and communities of individuals, that for me, I think is going to continue to be very, very important. And the definition of an institution may change quite a lot. So we talked about the idea that you may well end up partnering, and the boundaries of the institution may become quite porous. And it may be even hard to decide where does this institution end and these others pick up. But the idea that there will be a group of people, well, let's just say at the other end, far end of the spectrum, I don't think we'll foresee the fulfillment of the prophecy I've heard made that there will only be 10 universities in the world. I just don't think so. I think that the idea of place, people, community, affiliation with something more tangible than the cloud, I think that persists. And as traditional colleges and universities figure out how to provide that and access to the cloud, then I think we'll see really powerful and beneficial change. I think in a way there is a silver lining in the economic pressure that institutions face right now. That's forcing questions of focus. What do we do well, really well? What do we do that's really valuable for our students and other constituents? And what is it that we're doing that is not very good and is maybe just sort of imitative? It's the Harvard model. Everybody's been doing it. Now we find out that even Harvard can't afford it, and is innovating and looking for ways to be more efficient in its operations. And so I think that there is going to have to be a measured response to the budget pressure, which I think is beneficial, to saying, what are we really good at? Where do we need to focus, and where do we need to trim? And then that will lead to the idea that, all right, some of the stuff we're trimming we'll replace with partnerships. So, for instance, you're seeing consortia of liberal arts colleges saying, well, let's all get together, let's do some online courses, or let's partner so that as we provide languages, one institution specializes in one language, but we have 14 others that we can offer through the partnership. And then finally, with innovation, great opportunities to make learning even better, to make the classroom experience, when it occurs, a pinnacle built on top of a lot of preparation, much of which will have occurred online. I'll go back to my colleague Clayton's view, and that is if you want to innovate really effectively, go study the people who are locked out. Give them something that may not be good relative to what we're currently providing, but it's better than nothing. And so in the case of BYU Idaho, our Ghanaian students don't complain about the education they're getting. They love it. And especially they love the fact that we've found a way through a little bit of extra help, more than we give our students on the campus in Rexburg. We're able to prepare them. Ultimately, we get them mainstreamed with the kids from Rexburg. And in the process, we've learned not only about how to lift them, but to lift the student who's in Rexburg and what might drop out. You've got to make decisions, for instance, bandwidth matters. So you don't make fancy Hollywood-produced online courses. You figure out where's the best return on your learning investment. You keep it simple. You keep it inexpensive so that it works for them. That allows you to provide it because it is inexpensive. Then you can serve lots and lots of people. You get scale economies, revenues coming in, and it flows back into the rest of the institution and ultimately enhances what you've been doing for the traditional student, not least because they pay less than they used to. I mean, you can tell I admire my boss. Kim Clark came from the Harvard Business School to BYU Idaho, stood up in his inaugural address and said, we are going to raise the quality of everything we do, we are going to serve more students, and we're going to reduce the cost. And that looks like a triangle you can't break out of. If you gave me a latitude on one of those dimensions, maybe I'd be okay. But you tell me quality has to go up, cost goes down, and I serve more students, how do I do that? And the answer is innovation and technology.